Hush, Rosie!
People just heard you telling the dog to hush.
Yeah.
So none of that stuff is recorded.
It's recorded.
But who's gonna see it?
Alright. Yep, so, hey YouTube. My name is Derek Jackson, and this is my wife.
My name is Paige Jackson.
So
You're the worst.
So this is funny. Y'all are trying to figure out why we're laughing. So we've been talking for minutes now, and this thing was not live. So,
oh man.
Yeah. So for the last, I didn't start my timer.
Like 15 minutes. We've been just.
It was at least 15 minutes. We thought we were live, and we weren't. We weren't. And welcome to our podcast. This is So, all right. So
we're starting a podcast.
Yeah.
Ta-da! That's the announcement.
That's what we're doing.
We're starting a podcast.
So we're starting a podcast, and this is what it's about. We have been talking for 15 minutes to the camera, to our YouTube channel, and it wasn't live. I was sitting here looking at the screen, and it says, I was like, why is this thing saying that it's counting down? It's like 5 minutes. I didn't know what that was about. And, as it started getting, I was like, oh, it's not live. So anyway, I am Derek Jackson, and this is my wife, Paige.
I think we already did that.
We did. And we're the farmers and the owners of Grazed Farm.
Yes.
Most of you probably already know us, because if you're here, it's probably not by accident. It may be because you're already subscribed to the channel, or you may not be. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, because this is something that we're testing. We're not testing. This is something that we're doing.
Yeah.
And we don't. This took us a while to get here. It took us a while to get to YouTube and to try to figure out, how to really do a YouTube channel.
Well, maybe we should talk about that a little bit. Let's just unpack that a little bit. Okay, so I used to work in the world of social media marketing before.
Our dogs are barking in the background.
Yes,
sorry.
Those are our livestock guardian dogs, because we are farmers. So I used to work in this realm of social media marketing, and so there's always been kind of like this weight of like, oh my goodness, social media and YouTube especially. Like when we first started the farm, like before we even officially launched, people were like, you gotta do a YouTube channel. Everybody's gotta do a YouTube channel. This is how you're gonna survive. You gotta do it. And I was just like, I mean, yeah, that sounds cool, but who has time for that, Because ain't nobody got time to be like walking around with a camera and recording all the time. But at the same time, in the same hand, there are people that are doing YouTube and are doing YouTube so well. And, I feel like whenever I see those people, I'm like, oh, I kind of want to be like them. I kind of want to be that person who's just like, able to like hold the baby and hold the camera and cook pancakes and do, do everything. But that's just really, really hard. Like really hard. And I think there's also just this kind of like pressure of performance, to a certain degree. And that's just kind of been something that we've, had to get over. And Derek is very much like, okay, we're going to do this. Like, we're just going to do it. And I was like, maybe we like need to like pre-record it and edit it. And then like,
no
and
edits.
He's like, no.
We're not doing no edits.
Yeah.
See, like, it's just too much that goes into it. It requires a lot. And not saying that we won't ever get there, but I don't know, like, I listen to a lot of podcasts and a lot of audio books and a lot of audio content and watch YouTube. But one of the things I realized is one of the podcasts that I enjoy the most, I can hear it, I can listen to it when I'm doing farm chores or when I'm driving, or I can watch it live, or watch it, at a later time on YouTube. And majority of the time, it's not like I'm not watching. Majority of the ones that I'm listening to is not. I'm not. It's not something that I need to actually look at. Like the ones that I listen to some podcasts, and there's just normally farmers, business people talking about business, or farmers talking about farming. But I don't watch a whole lot of farming content. So as much, I watch some, but I listen to.
We used to watch a lot of farming content when we first started.
Yeah.
That was like, we make jokes and say like we were YouTube University graduates because we watch so much YouTube like to learn a lot of things, and then listening to podcasts. But anyway. So when Derek was like, we're going to do this podcast and it's going to be unscripted. And we're just going to do it. I was just like, I just don't know about that. I just don't know if that's a good idea.
Yep. Unscripted. This is us after a day of farming. This is what you're getting. It's a day after farming. Kids were, Paige asked today, she was like, so we're going to do this thing today? And I was like, I still had to go to the UPS fulfillment center to drop off orders that have to be shipped out tomorrow. And then to come back, getting stuff ready, getting the kids down, and then setting up the lights, setting up everything. I was just like, well, it's lighting. This is not, if
Our
it doesn't look like
the
it.
worst lighting, by the way.
Yeah. And it doesn't help with the paint, the blue, and it's a lot going on in this house. But so the live required time.
Oh my goodness. Let's just talk about that.
So just imagine if we actually made, recorded.
No.
It'd be a lot of editing or something.
So Derek comes and's like, hey, let's do this. Let's do YouTube. Let's just do YouTube Live. Let's do it. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So we go on YouTube, log on, and like,
oh yeah,
we're like, okay, kids are down, we're good, like let's try to like get our brains together and do this thing. And YouTube is like, you do not have authorization.
Oh yeah, we tried to do this it was last week.
It was like last week.
Yeah.
And we were like, dang it. And we like bought like a microphone.
Everything.
We were like, okay, we're going to do this. This is happening. We're going to do it. And then
they were like, your account has not been verified. Like, wait a minute. Why is this thing not going live? I thought that it was something wrong with the cameras.
Nah.
Cameras went back to the store, got new cameras, came back and started. Yeah, so when people, and this is kind of one of the reasons why we're doing this, is because it's super easy or what we typically see is we see people, like Paige was saying, and we're like, oh, that can't be that hard. We can do that.
Oh, man.
And then you start doing it, and then it's like, this is a little harder than we thought. So, so that's why we're doing this. The same thing kind of with farming, starting a business, starting a farm that's a business with a family.
Yeah.
Leaving a 14-year career.
Yeah.
A lifestyle, it wasn't like Paige and I, we didn't have any kids and we were just like, we're going to go. And, it was like, no, everybody had lives, including our kids. Like, there was a lot of different things going on in the Jackson household. And it wasn't just, okay, well, we're gonna stop and we're just gonna go do. It was a transition, but it happened with COVID, so it was like a lot of things were like, well, we gotta stay at home anyway. Might as well go. Well, no, actually, we had already. How did that happen? We had already moved. We had already had the farm. It was like, well, we should just go ahead and move to the farm. So that's kind of.
Well, I guess maybe we should set up what we're gonna talk about in this podcast podcast journey that we're embarking on.
This podcast journey.
Well, okay, so, and that's another thing, that I guess we've gotten feedback and we've also talked about that amongst ourselves is, our view and our perspective is very different from a lot of our peers, I guess, who are in the industry. One, like as Derek said, we came from, he was in the military for 14 plus years, and we have 5 kids. We also, I think marriage, like we've been married for 14 years. We have a big family. Derek comes from a large extended family. So just like all of the different dynamics that we bring individually as well as a whole on top of farming, it just kind of seems like, maybe this is going to be, maybe we have more to talk about that we don't always have time to talk about in the span of, 10, 15, 30-minute Instagram videos. So I guess that's kind of the ethos of this podcast, essentially, is you guys will get to know us a little bit more, and yeah, like we hope to offer more transparency. Like we talk about transparency in our business model all the time, and if this is your first time like finding this live, I know we did a brief introduction, but we are farmers. We are a regenerative farm. We raise pasture poultry as well as heritage pork and grass-fed beef, and we also do grass-fed dairy. So anyway, and there's just so many lessons in that too, right? And that's like the tip of the iceberg on top of all of the things. So maybe this is genius, maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm not ready to give Derek full credit for this just yet, but doing an unscripted, podcast of just like, I don't know, what are we doing? 45 minutes?
Yeah.
And that's going to be it.
Some may be shorter, but
yeah,
for the most part, 45 minutes, no longer than I'm not going to say that. I'm not saying no longer than. All right. I'm not going to do that. I'm not gonna say no longer than. Yeah, that's how long we've been
okay.
going.
Well then, yeah. So I guess we could start and talk about like.
So what can you expect to see here, right? Wait a minute, what?
I just said what they're gonna expect. You want to elaborate on that, like what we?
Okay. Well,
I was gonna say maybe we have time to talk about like how we got started a little bit more and our start.
Yeah, sure. So how we got started. I was ready to leave the military, and we were 2 years out from when I had to make a decision. I had 2 years out. I was planning. I knew that the time was coming up, and I knew that there needed to be a change. I just wasn't sure what that looked like. We had discussed it multiple times. We had discussed it 6 years prior. 6 years prior was the end of my first contract, and I was ready. I thought I was ready, and I wasn't prepared to leave yet. So I stayed a little bit longer, and so this time, we're four kids in, established somewhat of a life in North Carolina, Fayetteville. We've grown accustomed to the military lifestyle. It had become our life. Paige and I got married right after high school.
No,
9 months after high school.
No.
It was.
No. You were in the military for like a year before you got married.
I said we got married 9 months after high school. We graduated high school.
It was not 9 months after high school.
Okay, it was.
It was like my sophomore year of college.
No, Paige.
Yeah.
All right, so okay. I'm gonna do. See, this is.
Anyway, we're running out of time.
No,
let's just keep it going. We won't have time to talk about this thing if we keep.
Paige and I graduated high school in May
I'm not telling you how old I am, so you can just keep going and talk about the story of the military. Just keep going.
Okay, so anyway, we got married after high school, and then I joined the military, and then we got married.
Right. So you just said we got
married after high school. I joined the military, right? I joined the military, and then we got married a little bit after I was in the military. And so this is what we've done our whole life, like for the most part. Like we have been in the military. We've lived in the military. We've traveled multiple places. We've lived in multiple cities, multiple deployments, and a lot of TDYs. With that, we were ready for a change. And so with that, I had to figure out what I was going to do. And I wasn't really sure yet. I thought about leaving and doing something, and then comes to figure out it was the exact same thing. So it really didn't make sense to leave the military. But during that time, I started having some stomach issues, and you kind of know the story if you've seen the videos. If not, we've talked about it multiple times. But I started having stomach cramps and congestion. It didn't make sense. Comes to find out it was what I was eating. I used to eat a lot of ice cream, or I still do. But I ate a lot of bad ice cream. I used to like Creamy Creations from HEB in Texas. If anybody from Texas, you know about the Creamy Creations. It's a big deal. I can't eat it anymore.
We weren't even living in Texas.
It doesn't matter. But Creamy Creations is...
Creamy Creations is an HEB special. That's a Texas...
You think it's... Anybody that live in Texas know, if you shop at HEB and you've had Creamy Creations, you know it's better than all the brands that they sell in there. It is. It's a good brand.
Creamy Creations is like the HEB brand. Like it's like
but
the
generic
brand of ice cream.
When you hear store brand.
I mean, okay, I'm not gonna. I like HEB. I'm not gonna harp on HEB. I enjoy them. I met one of the executives at like a marketing conference.
They have chunks,
and he offered to ship Derek ice cream. Actually, it was very nice.
They have chunks of strawberries in the ice cream. You could anyway. So I like ice cream. So I was eating ice cream a lot. We weren't in Texas anymore, but I like to eat ice cream. But anyway, that dairy was messing with my stomach, and after a lot of research, we found out that dairy it was causing issues, and the alternative was to take a supplement that would help counter the congestion. And I said that was insane and that was crazy. I wasn't taking no supplement to eat no ice cream. I just deal with it and keep eating ice cream. And I did. Until, we started doing a little bit more research. We started watching some documentaries. And those documentaries, like, just kind of open our eyes to some things. And then we start to actually, deep dive into it. So now we're reading everything. We're looking at labels. At that stage, we were becoming of responsible consumers at the time. So we're looking at labels. If we can't see it, or if we can't see where it's grown or how it was grown, we weren't consuming it when it comes to protein. And that left us with only one protein, and that was chicken, because that's the only place that we could actually go and see and verify. We tried to buy some grass-fed beef. Comes to find out, we go to the farm, and the guy was doing a lot of beef, and he didn't have a whole lot of grass. Like, we go as a family, and we drive out to this farm, and you could tell that I don't think the dude thought that we were gonna come, but then when we showed up, it was like you could see.
Oh, you're here.
Yeah, it just wasn't. It was like he had a lot of cows. And they were in this paddock.
And it was like summertime.
It was summer.
Like, okay, and because we're raising cows now, and we'll talk about these things more, but during the winter, your cows, got to give them hay if you don't have enough forage, and that's just what it is. But it wasn't winter. It was like summer. And he didn't, anyway, it was a hot mess. But, yeah.
It was bad.
We didn't get the beef.
Yeah. And I think he told us, he was like, so what they do is he marketed it as grass fed, right? But then when we got there, he was like, oh, well, they're grass fed, but then a portion of the time we give them this whatever. And little did I know he was giving them grain. Yeah. I didn't know any better. I wasn't raised on a farm, and neither was Paige. So by the way, we're not farmers. This is first generational everything, right? We knew nothing about farming. So we go there, and I was like, what? Like, What do you mean you're giving them that? Like, when you tell me grass fed, I'm thinking 100%, 100. And then he says, oh, but we're giving them this. And I'm like, come on, I know what that is. Like, I don't know what it is, but I know that it ain't grass. It's a supplement, some type. Oh, yeah, it was grain. They get this right before they go to the processor. And I was like.
But I was like, well, let's just buy like a steak or something because we drove all the way out here.
We didn't buy nothing.
And Derek is like, no, we're not buying anything.
We did.
I was like, well, let's at least get like a piece of paper and like act like we're gonna, like follow
I took the man's card.
And Derek was like,
his contact, his cut sheet that he gave us. He gave us a cut sheet. And he was like, you can pick whatever you want on here. And that cut sheet stayed in between the seat of the car. Like, that's where it lived. But yeah, after seeing that, we were like, man, Like, so we kept looking, and chicken farmer ran out of chicken, and ran out of chicken right before the winter, and that made me very, very upset. I got very upset because that chicken, we were counting on the chicken, right? We had found our chicken farmer, and it was good chicken. He did a really good job on the packaging. Like, it worked. And sure enough, he ran out of chicken, and that led me to try to figure out how he ran out of chicken. And then I thought, well, we could do this ourselves. So I started watching.
Mind you, I am pregnant.
Yeah. I
am pregnant with baby number 5, and I don't even know how far along I was at that point, but I was definitely like pregnant. And Derek's like, let's raise some chickens.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Baby number 5 on the way. And
which was a surprise. That's a story in itself. That was a surprise.
So people think that I don't think people really understand the context of what we mean by we started the farm. Like, that was a start. Like, I started researching, watched some videos, and in these videos, these people, I found this video of this guy that started raising chickens. He was a Marine. Started raising some chickens after same thing. Like, he was getting sick and all this stuff, and it didn't make sense. Same thing, and I'm like, wait a second, I could do that. If this guy did it, I could do it too. So that's what we did. I ordered some chickens, and I ordered some chickens online. I thought for sure that it wasn't going to go through. I thought I was going to get an email telling me it's crazy. Dude, you're not getting no chickens in the mail. Little did I know that's how chickens are sent. If you don't live near the hatchery, you're going to get them from USPS, I'm sorry.
The United States Post Office.
Yeah. You're going to get it from there, and you're going to go pick it up. And sure enough, they called me, and that went really fast. So we ordered the chickens, and then the chickens were there in like a few weeks, maybe. I don't remember exactly, but they came man, we weren't prepared. I had nothing. When I got the call from the post office, first I got an email saying that they had shipped, and I was like, how long is that? Wait a minute. I don't even know what I'm looking for. What's going to come? I'm thinking there were going to be some eggs or something. I don't know. I've never bought chickens before, ever. I had never seen baby chickens before. Not one time. I'd never seen a baby chicken. So I didn't know what we were, I had been reading books and everything, and I knew, okay, well, this is what you need. You need a brooder, and you need, feed and all that stuff. I had been researching the feed and, looking into how to raise them. I just hadn't actually bought anything. So I get the call from the post office very, very early in the morning. I'm pretty sure I was at the gym, and I got a call. I was going to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I got a call from the United States Post Office, and I thought for sure it was like an agent or something calling to tell me that I need to come, somewhere because I'd done something wrong by ordering them chickens in the mail. And sure enough, no, it was the post office. They called, it was like 5:30, and they were like, "Hey, we have something for you. It sounds like chickens, but we don't know. Like, you need to come and get them." So I call them and ask them, how long do I have to pick them up? And they were like, "Hey, you can't come until we open." So during that time, I leave work and I go and like start buying feed and buying stuff. Look, and I don't think I told Paige that they had arrived yet. Mm-mm. I don't even remember. I think I just went home with the chickens, like a normal day, and was like, "Hey, the chickens, there's something outside."
Yeah.
And that's how we started farming. We got those chickens. It is. That's how it started. There's a lot of details in there, but nobody really cares about that. Like, that's how we started, though. We bought the chickens in the mail.
Yeah, in a nutshell, that is how we started.
25.
And there are a lot of other things that happened in between all of that. But, yes, that
between the chickens?
I mean, just, like, raising the chickens, having a baby, like,
going... Oh, well, yeah, I was just talking about that's how we got the chickens to the house.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that was, like, the start. But, it was, tumultuous. I don't think I said that word right. It was a crazy
what she was trying to say.
Situation. It was crazy.
It was.
But anyway, we did it, and fast forward, or maybe we should give it a little bit more backstory, because that's what this whole podcast is about. So that's Derek's side of the story. And the other side of the story is I'm watching this whole thing unfold of, like, you know, Derek showing this interest in farming, and honestly, I didn't really think that it was going to go outside of just like us doing this thing in our backyard, right? Because he was like, "Hey, I'm really mad about the chicken, but it only takes 8 weeks to raise a chicken. Yeah. I'm gonna just do it myself."
True.
And I was like, "Okay, I support that." You know, like, okay. And when the chickens got there, I remember calling a friend and being like, "I have 25 chickens in my yard right now." And
they were in the back of the mail van in our food truck.
Yeah, that's another story too. I was like, I don't know if I should laugh about this or if I should cry about this, but I kind of just feel like I should do both because I'm pregnant and this is crazy. So that definitely happened. And you know, it was really funny because, you know, I would have, like, you know, friends come over for, like, Bible study, and they would be like, "You got chickens in your yard?"
No, the principal like, from the headmaster from the school.
Yeah, don't worry about that. And then our kids would go to school and, like, tell these, like, stories about, like, us raising chickens, and then they would, like, at one point they stopped us and they were like, "Hey."
The headmaster, which is the principal from the school, stops me as I'm like dropping the kids off, and so whenever I dropped the kids off, they were always late for school in the morning, and I guess people knew that it was me because Paige for some reason could get them there on time. I couldn't, but so when he stopped me, I thought for sure he was about to say something about the kids being late, but no, he was like, "So Maxwell said something about these. We've been hearing a lot of interesting stories about chickens in your truck or something." And I don't remember exactly, but it was like, "Is this?" He thought it was made up. He was like, "It sounds a little crazy." So I wasn't really sure if this was like, you know, maybe some storytelling or something. I was like, No, it's, you know, this is what we're doing, to the point where, like, the school, like, got super, like, super involved.
They were very
like,
supportive. Like,
can you come talk about this?
We at one point went and talked about, like, chickens and eggs and pigs, because it evolved. So we started with the chickens, and then we got pigs.
I forgot all about
that's another story. But then we had eggs, like, we had laying hens, and that was crazy. Like, we had so many eggs, and I was like, I've got to sell these eggs. Like, I just have to get rid of these eggs because they just keep piling up, and we can't eat all these eggs. So I was literally like the egg dealer at school. Like, people would come up to my Suburban and be like, "Hey, let me get two dozen." I'd be like, "Okay." And some people were getting like 6 dozen. I was like, "I got you."
So what Paige is talking about is, I forgot all about that. So,
I was determined to move those.
So after we raised the 25 chickens, we decided, after like me looking, and I enjoyed it. Like after, we raised them, we processed them at our house. Like Paige and I did it, the 25. The kids were, somewhat participant, but we did it at our house. We processed them, rented some equipment, did it at the house. We didn't. I learned how to do it on a video.
Yeah.
I watched, processing videos multiple times, over and over again, and then the morning of, like, we just did it at the house in the yard. And after that, we put these chickens in the freezer, which took all day. It was a long day. And we had a baby, a newborn in the house. Paige is out there trying to process.
I was like going back and forth, like between processing and nursing, and I was like, like scrubbing my hands vigorously with like bleach because I was like, I don't want to get salmonella on my newborn baby. It was crazy.
It was.
But
after that, it was just good. Like it was. Man, I don't even know what the word for it is. After we ate, ate the chicken.
It was gratifying.
It was very gratifying.
Wow, like we raised this chicken. This was really great. Like all of this chicken we're stocked. Like we had a good amount of chicken, and people were interested in the chicken that we raised, and they were like, "Hey, I would be interested in that chicken."
Yep.
And we couldn't sell it, so we just gave it to people.
Yeah.
And they were like, "That chicken was amazing. This was a delicious chicken. I would love to buy more of this chicken." And Derek was like, "I think this could be something."
Yeah.
And
so that was our
that was the start.
Yeah, that was the start. People were interested in it, and I was like, wait a second, it is real. So we started from there, and
then we got land.
Yeah, we got some land.
Then we got the pig. Well, yeah,
we got layers first.
We got laying hens. We had like 75 laying hens, which is
why we had so many
eggs. Which I was like, I got to get rid of these eggs. This is getting outrageous. And then we got the pigs. And when we got the pigs, I feel like the pigs were like the official, like, you are a farmer.
Yeah.
Like you have arrived.
A friend of mine, how did we get into the pigs? We got into the pigs a week or two after we processed the chickens.
It was like right after.
It was like, right afterwards. A friend of mine, he wasn't a friend at the time. We got the land, we got the layers. When we got the layers, we needed livestock guardian dogs. We found this guy that was trying to sell or rehome his livestock guardian dogs because he was getting out of the business.
Yeah. So
I contacted him, went to see him, got the dogs. He kept the dogs for me until I could move them to the farm. During that time, he's a small world. He was in the military too, stationed at Fort Bragg. And he calls me. Like, so I met him on Craigslist. So I go and I look at the dogs. Dogs are great. This man is farming. We, come to find out he's in the military. And then he sends me a text message maybe like maybe a week or two after we met. And he says, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting some pigs. You should get some." And I'm like, what? Like, pigs? We kind of do need pigs though. Like, if we get pigs, we got chickens, we get pigs. We didn't have the land yet. Well, we did have the land.
We just got the land.
We had just gotten it.
But also I need to add this too, because we have to be at time. When Derek's like, okay, so hey, like, what do you think about pigs? And I'm like, I don't know. So we start listening to, podcasts about pigs. And I will never forget. The guy on this podcast says, raising pigs in the winter is the worst idea. And that's just not something that you need to do. It's just this time of year is the worst time to raise pigs. And Derek's like, I'm picking up the pigs tomorrow. And I'm like, this is
yep.
not...
And my thought was, if you can raise pigs throughout the winter, you can raise pigs anytime, right? That's what I thought.
That's ridiculous.
Right? That's how it is in the military, right? If it's cold, if you can fight when it's cold, you can fight when it's hot. But It really doesn't make sense.
Do you
but
hear the logic? And
you tell yourself whatever you need to get through it, right? And that was my thought. It was like maybe this. So here's the thing, though. I did think that after I heard that, I was like,
how do you make sense?
Maybe. Why would people are like, don't do that? Like, not during the winter, it's gonna burn you out. It's gonna make you wish you never had pigs. But that wasn't that. It actually wasn't true. It was actually. It
wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad at all. It really wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. We got the pigs. After we got the pigs, we took the pigs to the farm that we did. The farm was 2 hours away from our house.
Yeah.
So if you're one of my friends, you trying to figure out what happened, I got land and I started farming, and I was driving 2 hours a day. My friends would be like, "Hey," or my colleagues from work would be like, "Don't ask him to come because he ain't gonna come." I'm like, "No, I ain't coming." Like, I drive 2 hours one way to the farm in the morning, and then 2 hours headed back home. So I was getting up, doing our stuff at the house, drop the kids off. If I have to go into the office, I go to the office, leave the office, drive 2 hours to the farm, drive and then do farm chores, do all that stuff. Get in the car, drive 2 hours back, right? And I did that.
You did that for 6 months.
6 months.
6 months.
Every day. Every single day. Didn't miss a day. We started on, we officially took the pigs to the farm on was it our birthday?
No, it was New Year's Eve.
Or New Year's Eve.
It was New Year's Eve.
So, normally we would go and watch the acorn drop in downtown Raleigh.
Right. But
and the pigs... We didn't think that it was going to take this long for these pigs to get out the trailer into the pen that we created. If you go watch the video ain't posted.
Oh, we'll post it. Post it.
So bringing pigs to the farm, we made a lot of mistakes. Now going back and looking at it, I was like, that was crazy. I'm going to tell you how crazy this was. If you know anything about farming, we were using electric fencing for pigs that didn't know anything about electric fencing.
They were like little baby pigs.
So they were jumping they were running through the nets. So, yeah, it was crazy.
It was just a bad day. Like, it started off okay. It was
raining.
No. It started off okay because it was warm. It was like, it was not that bad. But I packed, all the kids had coats. And so eventually, because the sun was going down, it got colder. It started raining. The kids were hungry. At one point, someone had to pee and had an accident, and I was like, I'm holding a newborn baby. I'm just like, we need to be done with this. I'm done with this. And yeah, everyone was. We created memories. Pigs. That was a big time memory that we established.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But that was again a start.
Yeah, that's how we got that started it, and that's what we've been doing ever since. We got the pigs there, and then fast forward a few months into it. Hey, these pigs are getting big. We got a lot of eggs. We're gonna start chicken. I plan on getting out. I know for sure I'm leaving the military to start a farm. Yeah. That was a transition in itself because COVID happened a few months after that, and then when
COVID was happening,
or it was happening at the time.
COVID was happening,
and we just went ahead and left. We started looking for a house that was closer to the farm. Mm-hmm. We found a house, and then we moved, and we just left. We left and moved to the farm.
Yeah, our lease was up. We left.
Yeah,
it was time. So.
Yeah, we left.
Yeah.
That was the end of it. It was like, we got to go, and we just started slowly transitioning to the farm. And now we are on the farm. We're on a homestead, and then we're farming multiple properties. We live on one and then farm some others. But yeah, that's where we are. What are we doing now? So from the video, we're trying to provide a little bit more detail, because in the videos or whatever, if you watch any of the stuff, we don't go too far into details about some of that stuff.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, I think videos in general, you only see the glass half
full. Is that the saying? Like you only see half the picture, and a lot of the things that you guys don't see are the mistakes that we've made, or just kind of like how we arrived where we are now. And it wasn't this just like oh, everything is perfect, which I think sometimes people can just have that perception from social media or like videos that are polished and edited. So yeah, we are here and we're still learning and still growing and developing. I think the first video that we posted, Derek said, I'm a learning farmer, and I feel like that is still like true even 2 years later.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that doesn't change. Just from what I've learned, it is farming is one of those things. As a leader, I was always told that if you're a leader, then you're always learning, right? Because there's always something to learn, something new. You should be evolving, and if you're not, then that can, it doesn't work very well. You start to get lazy, you start to get stagnant, you start to get comfortable. And one of the things I've realized is when I'm comfortable, I'm probably not, I'm not operating, or I'm not operating at, my full capacity. Like, I'm comfortable, I'm not really working as hard. And as a farmer, that can be very, very bad. And it can be very, very bad because typically, I think, from what we've learned from farming in general, when we are coasting and we're not constantly, if we don't have any projects, or if we don't have any goals to accomplish something, then things just start to fall by the wayside. And that could be, things like, brooder management. You can tell if you go. I've heard this from multiple farmers, and I've learned this. You can tell. You can tell the productivity of a farmer by the smell of his farm. If you go to a farm, and my farm hand can tell you this, I was able to use it. I told him, I was like, hey, did you check, when was the last time you did the bedding in the brooder? And he said, he was like, I did it today. And I was like, man, I can smell, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, I put something down this morning. I was like, well, just check it. I got a feeling. And so he goes check, and he was like, oh man, it was a mess. Like the water, some kind of way the water got left on, and it got wet and all this. He was like, how did you know? I was like, because I can smell it. Like I can smell when things aren't, when things aren't the way that they should be. And that's typically on a farm. But that also comes from being lazy. Lazy, and not that it's done intentionally, but you can get lazy after a while. Or you can just get comfortable and not pay attention to things that you typically would, like waters and feeders and stuff like that. So anyway, I forgot where I was going with that.
You were talking about projects and changing and evolving.
Yeah. But yeah, so currently, the stage that we are in now, how things can be helpful for others, and just how we can inspire, and not just inspire, because there's a lot of things that we've learned throughout the process that we wish that other people had have said. One of the things that I tell people like, oh, you got any questions, or what would you ask a farmer? What are good questions to ask? A good question to ask is what does a bad day look like? Like what does a bad day look like? How often do you have bad days? Because those are the things that you want to know. Yeah. Those are the things that you want to hear, because there are a lot of hard days on a farm. So, but you don't see that. Like, you don't see a whole lot of people talking about, oh, well, during calving season sounds great, but calving season that we've learned is it's hard. And I believe it's one of the hardest things that I've done in farming this far is calving. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of, as we're like transitioning with the time, like I think one of the things that I wanted to see in the podcast that I wasn't seeing is the not so fancy stuff.
Yeah.
The
nitty gritty.
Yeah.
That was such a corny thing to say.
Yeah, sorry, somebody from the country would say.
I'm from Georgia. I don't know. Yeah, so moving forward, because we're hoping to keep these short and sweet, 45 minutes-ish. I mean, if the spirit moves us and it's longer, then it's because it's a super, exciting topic. But yeah, no, I mean, we really hope that we can be a resource in some aspects, and not that because we know it all and we have it all figured out, because we do not. But I think that if this is something that you're aspiring to do, or just to like figure out or see if it is for you, whether it is farming or business, hopefully we can working with your spouse. We'll probably touch on all of those things in this podcast.
Yep.
And, yeah.
Yep. You're gonna see it. You're gonna see. You're gonna hear it.
You're not gonna see. You're gonna hear it. you're gonna
yeah,
hear
you're gonna hear it.
You're just talking about it.
There's a lot of stuff that there's a lot of things that you don't hear, and you don't hear and you don't see, as in what's happening in the grocery stores, what's happening with farmland across the world, not just United States. What is the state of our food system?
What is it to support a small family farm?
Yeah. What is a small family farm?
I mean, all of those things.
Those are things that we wanted to see and we wanted to hear, or things that we like to talk about, or that we're like, well, do other people see what's happening? Like, you go into a grocery, like, I see those prices going up, but no one's really talking about it. Like, there's going to be a shortage, and we were talking about it in the beginning. Like, at some point, we're going to run out of food. As in, there will be a shortage of food, and you may not see it. As in, you'll still see the products on the shelf, but the price is where you'll see the shortage.
Yeah, the price will eliminate a lot of people from buying. This is another.
Yeah, people get confused by how's there a shortage and we see product on the shelf? Well, did you see the price of the product?
Right.
If the price is high, there's a reason for it. Not saying that it's all driven by. I mean, there are a number of different reasons for it. But if you look back at COVID and the processing facilities closing and all that stuff, like. The fact that the processing facilities were closed for so long, it's like at some point there's going to be a big gap.
True cost. We'll talk about true cost.
And true cost.
That's what we will discuss.
So true cost is a thing. And we'll do, we'll talk about those things.
And we'll probably do some question answer type podcasts too. Just to kind of, I think that would be good.
Yeah,
I'm just spitballing ideas at this point.
Yeah. I mean, there are always questions. And I would like to provide a platform to where we can address those questions for farmers. Or for aspiring farmers or not farmers, and just people that just want to know about, whatever. Like, right. That is what I think the space needs. And people are asking questions. We see the questions. There's a lot of questions and people sending the emails that we have not responded to for a number of reasons. Some of them we still haven't seen yet. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of emails and a lot of people, and not that we aren't interested in it. We are full, just to put this out there, we are full-time farmers. 100% well, I'll say 80% of our 80%. We take 80%. We're full-time farmers. We don't have other jobs. Is what I'm trying to say.
This is our only job.
This is our only job.
That's what he's trying to say.
We don't have another job. I was trying to answer. I was gonna say what we typically see when people ask questions about farms. They always say, "What percentage of your farm supports your family?" I'm a farmer. Like all of it does, but that's not a common thing though. So I didn't know that. I was like, anyway. But yes, we're full-time farmers. We're on the farm. This is what we do for a living. Paige doesn't have a side job. I don't have a side gig. You know, this is what we do. We make a living from our land, and you know that's what we do. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and that's another story. It's possible. There's doing
a lot of stories. We will talk about these things to come. This will be more
Paige.
More suspense. You guys will probably get tired of us soon, but hopefully, or maybe not. I don't know. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we don't really have like a fancy outro or anything. Maybe we'll work on that and come up with something quirky and fun.
Yes. Yes.
But we don't. So, yeah. This is kind of the end.
Yeah, so what can you expect to see from this? We're going to let y'all know.
Yeah.
All right? We'll let you know how often this will come. We don't know. You tell us what you want to see. If you got questions, post them in the comments because we want to know. What do you want to know? What do you want to see? You're aspiring farmers. If you got questions, you know, about that, if you're ready to leave the military and you don't think it's possible, here we are, thriving, loving life. If you're ready. And if you're looking at retiring, this is come farm. It's a way to go. And if you're not, we've met people that, you know, just like, hey, I just want to learn how to eat better. That's cool too. We're figuring it out as well. We're trying to learn how to eat better all the time. Just to put a seal on this, we grow and eat. We grow 90% of everything that we consume. Just to put that out there, 90%. Everything else is we don't grow produce. But we also don't eat that much. We do have some, but we're not produce farmers. But 90% of we grow 90% of the things that we eat. So, and we grow ice cream.
What?
No, you can't grow ice cream.
You can't grow ice cream.
But we make our own ice cream.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Good night. Is that the bit? I don't know how to end this.
So thank y'all for tuning in, and we will see y'all